Conversation is very important, especially when we talk about business funding. So, in today's show, I want to reveal to you 10 rare business loans that approve you no matter what. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you were to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's convo, I want to reveal to you 10 rare business loans that approve you no matter what. Of course, when we're talking about business loans that approve you no matter what, we are talking about alternative lenders. Because as you know, traditional lenders such as banks and credit unions have more stringent requirements. So they will not approve you no matter what. No, they have a constellation of requirements. But when it comes to alternative lenders, they are more, I would say, more flexible. And so when we talk about alternative loans versus traditional loans, there are a couple of things you need to pay attention to. Borrower requirements. So in general, alternative lenders have lower application criteria than traditional lenders do. Things like business revenue, personal credit score, business credit score are much more flexible when you consider an alternative loan. But the loan cost is higher with alternative lenders, though. You have to pay attention to that. What about funding turnaround? The funding turnaround is faster when it comes to alternative lenders versus traditional lenders. They have much shorter processing and funding times. And also the terms and payments, for the most part, banks offer you longer repayment terms. Think of a loan term of 1 to 5 years versus an alternative lender, which might want to get their money back within 2 years or 3 years. And so what types of alternative loans are available? When we actually talk about alternative loans, we are referring to the whole gamut. So long-term loans, short-term business loans, micro loans, lines of credit, equipment loans, invoice factoring, invoice financing, merchant cash advances. Before I actually get into the actual ranking, let me just tell you that alternative lenders that I'm going to review today, they're all safe. Those are legit businesses. Those are sound businesses, stable businesses. All right. Check out this short evaluation video. It tells you about our approach when it comes to categorizing, reviewing, and assessing loans on this show. Check this out. All right, folks, let's get right into it. When we talk about the 10 rare business loans that approve you no matter what, number 10, we have Excel Capital. Our score 7.5 over 10. Excel Capital is an online lender offering unsecured business loans, business lines of credit, and other similar financial products. And its rates on unsecured business loans are reasonable, but the line of credit's fee structure can pile up the cost. So Excel is not the most transparent lender in our view. We've done research. They don't really publish their fees that clearly. So their requirements: minimum time in business, less than 1 year, required annual revenue, $100,000 at least, borrowing amount from $50K to $1 million, more than $1 million in some cases, and minimum time to funding 1 day. What are the pros and cons here? You have lower borrower qualifications than with banks, multiple types of financing available, high borrowing amounts, the application process is fast and easy, funds are dispersed quickly. The cons: rates can be expensive, as you can imagine with an alternative lender. Repayments are required frequently in some cases, and the website advertising is misleading. And this is something that Excel Capital needs to work on. All right, this is very, very important. Number 9, we have here, folks, P2B Investor. Our score 8 over 10. P2B Investor is a peer-to-peer lender that offers asset-based lines of credit to qualified B2B businesses. So the initial application is fast and easy, and the company is transparent and communicative. It's competitively priced and solves problems commonly experienced by mid-sized to small businesses, but you have to be in the B2B landscape, all right? In other words, your customer, if you have a business, your customers should be companies. And what about the requirements here? Minimum time in business, 1 to 2 years. Required annual revenue, more than 200,000. Borrowing amount, less than 50,000 up to $1 million. The pros and cons. No credit score requirements, which makes sense because we're talking here about asset-backed companies. What am I talking about here? Asset-backed lines of credit, right? So you have collateral here. So there is no credit score requirement really. You have high borrowing amounts. Rates tend to be inexpensive, and the application process is fast and easy. What about the cons here? It's only available to B2B businesses. It's not available to businesses in some industries, and some additional fees are charged. And of course, collateral is required. Again, we're referring to an asset-based line of credit. So yeah. Number 8, folks, we have payability. Our score, 8/10. If you have cash flow problems, and if you are an e-commerce seller, if you sell online, you might want to check out Payability. They might be the service that you need to actually smooth out your cash flow. So the pros and cons here: no credit score requirements, rates tends to be cheap, no extra fees, discounts for repaying early. We kind of like that. The application process is very fast and easy. Funds are dispersed quickly, and the website advertising is clear and informative. And the cons, you gotta be in the online selling space. In other words, the service is only available to e-commerce sellers. All right. One thing I want to say here is that they want you to have at least 3 months of sales history, and they want you to have marketplace sales of $2,000, at least $2,000 a month. And it's all about, and for both products, in other words, for the marketplace sales and for the regular loans and the marketplace sales loans, you must be a seller on a supported marketplace. In other words, you got to be on a marketplace that Payability supports. And this supports a lot of marketplaces, including Amazon, Walmart, Alibaba, Shopify, Etsy, Newegg, Jet, Top Hatter, and more commerce. Number 7, folks, we have national funding. Our score, 8.5/10. So National Funding is a leader in the alternative lending space, and they provide funding to small businesses that cannot get a loan from a bank or a credit union. And the National Funding provides reasonable rates for an alternative lender as long as you fall on the lower range of its factor rate and origination fees. So minimum time in business, 1 to 2 years, credit score 600, required annual revenue 100,000 at least, borrowing amount from $50K to $1 million, minimum time to funding 1 day. So what are the pros and cons here? Low credit score requirements, discounts for repaying early. This is pretty cool. No collateral required. The application process is fast and easy, and funds are dispersed quickly. We love that. And the cons: rates can be expensive. Some additional fees are charged. Repayments are required frequently. And when we check the National Funding websites, we've seen some, I would say, some discrepancy in the offer. So you might have some misleading ads on the website. So you have to be cautious here. One thing I want to say in general is that National Funding is one of the older non-traditional lenders out there. And the company has maintained over the last few years a pretty positive reputation. So worth looking into. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. I'm still talking to you about the top 10 rare business loans that approve you no matter what. And number 6, we have Behalf. Our score, 8.5/10. So Behalf is a business funder that offers financing to small and medium-sized businesses. Behalf is available to most small businesses, regardless of your time in business, business revenue, or credit score. That's pretty cool. Behalf is best for businesses that need an intermediary financing option to pay for goods and services. So the borrowing amount is up to $50,000. The pros and cons: borrower qualifications are lower than banks. no extra fees, no prepayment penalties. Financing is suited for startups and small businesses. Applicants can quickly get pre-qualified. Application process is fast and easy. The website advertising is clear and informative. And with a behalf business loan, you can build personal credit. On the con side, rates can be expensive. So this is something you have to think about. So Behalf, formerly called ZASMA, is a business funder that offers financing to small and medium-sized businesses. So if you think about it, Behalf is kind of similar to providers of PO financing, so purchase order financing. So what Behalf does is that they pay the bills for your goods and services. That way, your vendors get the cash upfront, and you can repay Behalf when you have the funds. That's just the model. Number 5, folks, we have IOU Financial. Our score 9/10. IOU Financial is a short-term lender serving small businesses. So if you're going the short-term, non-traditional route of lending or borrowing, IOU has pretty relaxed credit score requirements. Be prepared, however, folks, for some additional fees. So the requirements are minimum time in business 1 to 2 years, credit score 600 at least, required annual revenue at least 100,000, the borrowing amount from 50K to $1 million, minimum time to funding 1 day. What about the pros and cons? So the pros: borrower qualifications are lower than what banks offer. With IOU Financial, you have high borrowing amounts. The financing is suitable for quick business financing. The application process is fast and easy, and the website advertising is clear and informative. And we love that. It's very transparent here. And on the cons, rates can be expensive. Of course, this comes with the territory. If we are referring to alternative lending in general, you pretty much need to expect expensive rates. Some additional fees are also charged, frequent repayments are required, and no long-term financing options available. Number 4, folks, we have Headway Capital. And Headway Capital is a rare business loan that approves you no matter what. Our score 9/10. So this company offers a business lines of credit to qualified merchants. So Headway Capital might be convenient for merchants who need a small credit line to capitalize on business opportunities or other working capital needs. Be cautious about the high APR and additional fees. So minimum time in business 1 to 2 years, required annual revenue less than 100,000, borrowing amount less than 50K up to 100,000, and minimum time to funding 1 day. And the pros and cons: you have low credit score requirements, no prepayment penalties, the application process is fast and easy, funds are dispersed quickly, customer service is helpful. What about the cons? Financing is not available in some states, rates can be expensive, and some additional fees are charged. All right, so what I want to say in general is that Headway Capital is part of Innova International. This is a publicly traded financial services company based in Chicago. And Innova has multiple brands that have collectively served over 5 million small businesses and consumers and issued more than $25 billion in loans. Okay, so Headway Capital is Innova's first foray into the world of business financing. Since then, Innova has added the business backer, another small business alternative lender, to its product suite. So you kind of have, we're talking about a pretty solid player here. Number 3, we have Reliant Funding. Our score 9.5/10. Reliant Funding is an alternative business funder that provides short-term loans and merchant cash advances, the MCAs. There is no credit rating requirements to access its loans. Be cautious of Reliant's transparency regarding its terms and fees. So minimum time in business 1 to 2 years, required annual revenue $100,000, and the borrowing amount oscillates between 50K and $1 million. And the pros and cons here: pros, no credit score requirements, multiple types of financing available, high borrowing amounts. The cons: repayments are required frequently. It's not available to businesses in some industries. The website advertising is not informative. The application process can be slow because we're talking here about equipment financing, and the customer service is inconsistent. When we reach out to them, sometimes they will get back to us, sometimes they wouldn't. So something they really need to work on. All right, so when you think of Reliant Funding, it's a great player. They offer 3 types of products. You have merchant cash advances, short-term loans, and equipment financing. Number 2, folks, we have forward financing. Our score, 9.5 over 10. Forward financing is an online funder that specializes in providing small businesses with capital on short notice, emphasizing technology transparency, integrity, and speed. So the company's rates fall on the higher side, however. It's very important to understand. And nonetheless, if your credit rating is limiting you to higher rate funders and you absolutely need funding, forward financing may be worth considering. This is basically like the emergency kind of funder, if you will. And their requirements are pretty consistent. So minimum time in business, 1 to 2 years, credit score 500 minimum. You can see the bar has been pushed down, so 500. The borrowing amount less than $50,000 all the way to $1 million. Minimum time to funding 1 day. So what are the pros and cons here? Pros: this is a company that has excellent public reputation. They have relaxed credit score requirements, transparent terms and fees, and fast time to funding. What about the cons? You have high factor rates and expensive terms and fees. So just something you have to be aware of. All right. And one thing I want to say here is that when it comes to forward financing, this is a company that's based in Boston, and they specialize in providing small businesses with capital on short notice. So this is emergency funding here. Number 1, folks. Number 1, when it comes to the best business loan that approves you no matter what, we have Cash Bloom. Cash Bloom. Our score, 10 over 10. Cash Bloom is an alternative business funder offering short-term working capital in the form of loans and merchant cash advances. They offer high rates, but they are unusually flexible with regard to whom they will fund. Despite their high fees, their high rates, the company has flexible credit score requirements and lends to new businesses. That's pretty cool. New businesses. Minimum time in business, less than 1 year. Required annual revenue, $100,000. Borrowing amount between $50K to $1 million. Minimum time to funding, 1 day. What are the pros here? They have relaxed credit score requirements, 2 to 7 days time to funding. Once they approve everything, you can go from 1 day to 7, and they lend to new businesses. The cons: they have opaque terms and fees and high factor rates. So one thing you have to understand is that Cash Bloom is based in California, and they operates in both the US and Canada, though not all of their products will be available in every state or province. Overall, the company offers high rates but is unusually flexible with regards to whom it will fund. Brand new businesses aren't automatically ruled out here, making Cash Bloom a potential funder of last resort. All right, folks, this is it for today's conversation. I was speaking to you about 10 rare business loans that approve you no matter what. No personal guarantee. You can get funded up to $10 million in some cases, and the APR hovers between 12% to 24%. So we have number 1, Cash Bloom, 10 over 10. Number 2, we have forward financing, 9.5 over 10. Number 3, we have Reliant funding, 9.5 over 10. Number 4, we have Headway Capital, 9 over 10. Number 5, we have IOU Financial, 9 over 10. Number 6, we have Behalf, 8.5 over 10. Number 7, we have National Funding, 8.5 over 10. Number 8, we have Payability, 8 over 10. Number 9, we have P2B Investor, 8 over 10. And number 10, last but not the least, we have Excel Capital, 7.5 over 10. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. I will speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.